कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदना व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदना व्रज जनरंजन यमुनतीरा वनचारी यमुनतीरा वनचारी राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदना व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदना व्रज जनरंजन यमुनतीरा वनचारी यमुनतीरा वनचारी राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदना व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदना व्रज जनरंजन यमुनतीरा वनचारी यमुनतीरा वनचारी राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा अतः गौर पिमान दे हरि हरि को देवों विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राज का जरा अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद् द्रवंगे जैसे भक्त वेदांत संस्कृत की जय देवों विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राज का जरा अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद् द्रवंगे श्री भक्त सिद्धांत ठाकुर गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय आनंद कोटि वैष्णव की जय रामाचार्य हरदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गो गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। श्री क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगामयी यमुनामाई की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी हरि हरि वो। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. 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 All glories, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakti ki jai. Thank you very much for joining. Reading from Bhagavad Gita. You can see chapter 2. Contents of Gita summarized from verse number 25, 26 and 27. ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। हरि ओम तत्सत्। So chapter 2, kinds of Gita summary, verse number 25. अव्यक्तोऽयम् अचिन्त्योऽयम् अविकार्योऽयम् उच्यते तस्मात् त्वम् विदित्वैनम् नानुशोचितुमर्हसि। अव्यक्तोऽयम् अचिन्त्योऽयम् अविकार्योऽयम् उच्यते तस्मात् त्वम् विदित्वैनम् नानुशोचितुमर्हसि। अव्यक्तोऽयम् अचिन्त्योऽयम् अविकार्योऽयम् उच्यते तस्मात् त्वम् विदित्वैनम् नानुशोचितुमर्हसि। अव्यक्त invisible. I am this soul. Achintya inconceivable. I am this soul. Avikarya unchangeable or immutable. I am this soul. Uchyate is said. Tasmat therefore. That means he is concluding. The last 10 verses also is repeatedly speaking about this philosophy. Evam, like this, viditva, knowing it well, enam, this soul, na, do not, anusochitam, to lament, arhasi, you deserve. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. So the important point is the last line. Nanu sochitam arhasi. Do not lament. He is telling Arjuna and he is telling all of us. Because the soul is spiritual. Don't lament for the body. Don't lament for the matter. Don't lament for the temporary things. So that is a key. For last 10 verses, keep repeating again and again. Because it's so important. It's so ingrained in each and every pore of our skin and senses and mind and intelligence. So that's where the problem is. Lamentation and everything else. Sochati, Kankshati. So fear, anxiety, everything coming from that. So let's read the purport also. Short purports, all of them. Purport of Prabhupada. As described previously, the magnitude of the soul is so small for our material calculation that he cannot be seen even by the most powerful microscope. Therefore, he is invisible. As far as the soul's existence is concerned, no one can establish the existence experimentally beyond the proof of Shruti or Vedic wisdom. We have to accept this truth because there is no other source of understanding the existence of the soul. Although it is a fact by perception, there are many things which we have to accept solely on the grounds of superior authority. No one can deny the existence of his father based upon the authority of his mother. There is no source of understanding the identity of the father except by the authority of the mother. Similarly, there is no source of understanding the soul except by studying the Vedas. In other words, the soul is inconceivable by human experimental knowledge. The soul is consciousness and conscious. Consciousness and conscious. That also is the statement of the Vedas. And we have to accept that unlike the bodily change, there is no change in the soul as eternally unchangeable. The soul remains atomic in comparison to the infinite supreme soul. The supreme soul is infinite and the atomic soul is infinitesimal. Therefore, the infinitesimal soul, being unchangeable, can never become equal to the infinite soul, the third aspect. So basically, Prabhupada is covering the um invisible aspect and the inconceivable aspect, and then the immutable or unchangeable. Last point, unchangeable is talking about. Or the Supreme Person. This concept is repeated in the Vedas in different ways just to confirm the stability of the conception of the soul. Repetition of something is necessary in order that we understand the matter thoroughly without error. Because the body and soul is so significant. The absorption is so strong. So that's why it has to be repeated almost pretty much in every class. Prabhupada keep repeating. You are not the body, you are the spirit soul. Still, we have a problem. As soon as we wake up, then again the same consciousness we operate because three modes of material nature is so insurmountable. Verse number 26. अथ चैनं नित्यजातं नित्यं वा मन्यसे मृतम् तथापि त्वं महाबाहो नैनं शोचितुमर्हसि. Again, Krishna is sarcastically calling Arjuna, you are Mahabahu, but doesn't look like you are acting like Mahabahu. You are greatly stout and strong on the body or on the. Actually, you are supposed to be strong internally, but doesn't look like the way you are acting. So that's why he's using all these words. So instigate him, induce it to bring him to the right self realization. स्वत चैनं नित्यजातं नित्यं वा मन्यसे मृतं तथापि त्वं महाबाहो नैनं शोचितुमर्हसि. Again repeat last few verses, last verse, this verse also again. Don't lament. Hmm. If you are Mahabaho, don't lament. He's telling all of us also, not only Arjuna. Don't lament for the body, don't lament for the temporary things. Operate on the platform of the soul. अथ चैनं नित्यजातं नित्यं वा मन्यसे मृतं तथापि त्वं महाबाहो नैनं शोचितुमर्हसि. अर्थात if however cha also enam this soul nityajatam always born nityam forever va either manyase you so think mrutam dead tata api still tvam you mahabaho O mighty armed one na never enam about the soul sochitam to lament arasi deserve. Translation by Prabhupada. If however you think that the soul or the symptoms of life will always be born and die forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty arm. Lord Krishna is bringing various points here, very very nice. But now the soul and body, then he last few verses before he brings it to the karma aspect. We'll come to that. If however you think that the soul or symptoms of life will always be born and die forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty armed. But if however you think that the soul or the symptoms of life will always be born and die forever, because there are people who believe like these various philosophies are there, you still have no reason to lament, oh mighty arm. Purport of Prabhupada. There is always a class of philosophers almost akin to the Buddhists who do not believe in separate existence of the soul beyond the body. When Lord Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita, it appears that such philosophers existed, even then and even now also. There are. And they are known as Lokayatikas and Vaibhasikas. There are other philosophers also which will come to that. Such philosophers maintain that life symptoms take place at a certain mature condition of material combination. The modern material scientist and materialist philosopher also think similarly. According to them, the body is a combination of physical elements, and at a certain stage, the life symptoms develop by interaction of physical and chemical elements. The science of anthropology is based on this philosophy. Currently, many pseudo religions now becoming fashionable in America and are also adhering to this philosophy, and as are the nihilistic, non devotional Buddhist sects. Zero. Everything becomes zero at the end. Even if Arjuna did not believe in the existence of the soul, as in the Vaibhasika philosophy, there would still have been no cause of lamentation. No lament for the loss of a certain bulk of chemicals and stops discharging his prescribed duty. On the other hand, in modern science and scientific warfare, so many tons of chemicals are wasted for achieving victory over the enemy. According to the Vaibhasika philosophy, the so-called soul or Atma vanishes along with the deterioration of the body. So in any case, whether Arjuna accepted the Vedic conclusion that there is an atomic soul or he did not believe in the existence of soul, he had no reason to lament. According to this theory, since there are many living entities generating out of matter at every moment, so many of them being vanquished at every moment, there is no need to grieve for such incident. If there were no rebirth of the soul, Arjuna had no reason to be afraid of being afflicted by sinful reactions due to his killing his grandfather and teacher. But at the same time, Krishna sarcastically addressed Arjuna as Mahabahu, mighty aunt, because he at least did not accept the theory of the Vaibhasikas, which leaves aside the Vedic wisdom. As a Kshatriya, Arjuna belonged to the Vedic culture, and it behooved him to continue to follow its principles. The last verse today. जातस्य हि ध्रुवो is famous for जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्यो ध्रुवं जन्मामृतस्य च तस्मादपरिहार आद्ये न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि. Last line is almost same. Last three verses 25, 26, 27. Repeatedly, again and again, he is telling, don't lament. So, जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्यो ध्रुवं जन्मामृतस्य च. Even though it's a basic fact everybody knows, but still it's we have always we don't operate on that platform. Everybody knows birth and death and doesn't stop for anything. As Yamaraj, the Gandharvas, Dharmaraj, Yudhishthira Maharaj, what is the most astonishing thing in this world? Yudhishthira Maharaj says, yes, the most astonishing thing is everybody is dying, but he thinks that he's not going to die. So that is the wondrous thing in this world. जातस्य ध्रुवो मृत्यो ध्रुवं जन्मामृतस्य च तस्मात् therefore अपरिहार्याद्ये न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि. जातस्य, of one who has taken his birth, he is certainly Dhruva, a fact. Mrityu, death. Dhruvam, it is also a fact. Janma, birth. Mritasya, of the dead. Cha, also. Tasma, therefore. Apariharye, of that which is unavoidable, are they in the matter. Na, do not. Tvam, you. Sochitam, to lament. Arasi, deserve. Translation by Prabhupada. One who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. Repeat, one who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. About Bishop Prabhupada. One has to take birth according to the one's activities of life, and after finishing one term of activities, one has to die to take birth for the next. In this way, one is going through the one cycle of birth and death after another without liberation. Not able to hear or what? Without liberation. The cycle of birth and death does not, however, support unnecessary murder. Jiva himsa, that is unnecessary, cannot kill anyone. So even for the police or on the soldiers, they will be punished as well if they unnecessarily do. Slaughter and war. But at the same time, violence and war are inevitable factors in human society for keeping law and order. Yeah. So we are not seeing, I mean, we so much go gaga about this violence and war. But every day the souls are, the soul is passing away from this body. No one is permanent here. Either this is going to happening through violence or war, but no one is concerned about that. So people are concerned about all other things, temporary measures. The battle of Kurukshetra, being the will of the Supreme, was an inevitable event, and to fight for the right cause is the duty of a Kshatriya. Why should he be afraid or aggrieved at the death of his relatives, since he was discharging his proper duty? He did not deserve to break the law, thereby becoming subject to the reactions of sinful acts of which he was so afraid. By avoiding the discharge of his proper duty, he would not be able to stop the death of his relatives, and he would be degraded due to his selection of wrong path of action. Nice verses here. Krishna is speaking. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjansalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langete Girim Yatkrupatamaham Vande Sri Gurum Devatarinam Paramanandamadavam Sri Chaitanya वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यम ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्। श्री रूप गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। So discussing chapter 2, contents of Gita summarized, verse number 25, 26 and 27. So here, so basically Krishna, the chapter has, it is almost chapter 2 and chapter 18 are more or less same. Chapter 2 is at bringing the karma yoga, starting with Sankhya yoga. Analytically, Lord Krishna is describing last almost 10 plus verses from 13 all the way till now. Is almost concluding. That's why tasma, therefore. Last three verses is keep telling, don't lament, don't lament, because he's going to bring the next point of after Sankhya yoga. Then he's going to go to next point of karma yoga, then karma yoga, then the nishkama karma yoga, then bhakti slash samadhi he brings. So that's it. Contents of Gita. Basically all yogas, karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga. Jnana yoga we already started. Sankhya yoga is nothing but. So there are 5 sections in this chapter. Uh, First section is 1 to 10. More Arjuna's doubts. It's continuation on the chapter 1. Arjuna's further doubts and surrender. And the next section, which we are in today, 11 to 30, is Jnana, fight. There is no death for the soul, Sankhya Yoga, or another way title is Sankhya Yoga, which is nothing but Jnana Yoga. But it's a more of a shorter description. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, the whole Sankhya Yoga is there in great detail, talking about the whole, the 23 to 26 elements of creation, with the gross elements and the Mahabhutas, Tanmatras, Karmendriyas, Gnanendriyas, the 3 modes of material nature, Mahatattva, Pradhan, all these things. This is all Sankhya Yoga. Great detailed topic discussion between Kardam Muni, Mother Devahuti, and Lord Kapila is discussing with Devahuti, Canto 3 of Srimad Bhagavatam. But in Bhagavad Gita, shorter version is there, just describing the details of the body and the soul, characteristics of the body, characteristics of the soul, how does the body work, how does the soul work, what are the sizes, compositions, all these things are briefly mentioned, because that was the first problem before, because unless you understand the basics, the fundamentals, 1 plus 2 equal to 3, you can't understand the higher mathematics. So that's why the same mathematics is there in the beginning in the school, in the first grade to 10th grade. Then there is all maths is also there in intermediate, maths is also there in degree, and also there in PhD also, but at a different levels. So if one didn't go through, then they can understand what the maths is taught in the degree or PhD. It's more complicated. So that's why before Krishna can speak Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, basics has to be taught. So that's why. So the 11 to 30 is Jnana, fight. Unless there is a Vichakshana Jnana, is there, that's why he's renouncing. So he has to be given the knowledge, as per the transcendental knowledge. 31 to 38, the third section is Karma Kanda, fight by performing prescribed duty. You should know what is his duty. as a Kshatriya. Next is 39 to 53. The fourth section is Buddhi Yoga. Not only if I do, but with proper intelligence, proper consciousness. Buddhi Yoga. Nishkama Karma. Buddhi Yoga. Fight without any reactions. He needs to know how he can do that. So that's Krishna is 39 to 53. And the last section is 54 to 72. Fifth section is Samadhi or Sthita Prajna. Fight. Become fixed in Krishna consciousness completely. So is the highest stage, the perfection of one. So in the last few verses, 23, 24, in the last weeks, where Krishna is describing about the soul's characteristics, where he's mentioning about how soul is achedyoyam, adahyoyam, akledyoyam, source evacha. Soul is soul cannot be burned, soul cannot be withered, soul cannot be moistened, soul cannot be broken. And then he's telling that invisible, insoluble. You can't moist, you can't water it down, you can't do anything basically because you can't even see it, and neither you can change it. So all these things Krishna is describing, and then we discussed in detail about the instructions of that. Nainam chandanta shastran, nainam dahati pavaka, na chainam kledayantyabo, na soshreti maruta. That is what chandanta means cut, and then dahati means burn, pavaka, so means moisture. These three things Krishna is explaining 23 and 24. Where it means is basically Krishna is explaining in a negative way, and so we can see or understand the soul. Active, positive is soul is always active. Soul is transcendental. It is not. It is unchangeable. So it is permanent. It's always eternal and happy, blissful, and looking for knowledge. That is the soul's consciousness. So soul and super soul, the living entity, because he is getting from the super soul, supreme Lord. So the same qualities are there. Quantity only small. The living entity never loses his individual identity. That also means because if he cannot be burned or withered or cut, moistened, then how he will lose his individuality? Because people have this idea. Right now, I am conditioned, but at one point I can become God. Everybody is God. So you are Narayana. So that is refuting in the beginning of chapter 2 itself. So living entity is living entity, super soul, supreme Lord is supreme Lord. There is no question of changing. Even in this verse, today's verse, first verse is telling that last aspect of immutable. Avikarya means unchangeable. If the soul cannot be changed, then how soul can become super soul? There is no change. You can't change the soul because you can't find it, you cannot burn it, you cannot weather it, you cannot moisten it. Then where is the question of changing it? So it cannot be changed. So only the right now the bodily condition is there that has to be removed. It has to be purified. Then naturally it will get the spiritual body. Right now it has material body because of the so that's why it is explained that living entity without any touch with this material world. So that is its actual original nature of the. And we give the example of shirt pant. The tailor takes and because he's taking the measurement because material body has hands legs. Because it is spiritual body has that's why material body also has the legs, hands and eyes and everything. So because it's all from spiritual body, you have material body based on the material body, the tailor is stitching the clothes. We are putting it. So that way Krishna is mentioning here basically is refuting the scientists and believers of the soul in other planets. That is also why Krishna is mentioned because he cannot be born means even on the fiery planet, even the sun planet, the moon planet, every planet there is living species. It is not that there is no species in the there is only species in the earthly planet because we are here. We only know this. It doesn't mean that there is no consciousness, there is no souls, there is no living entity, there is nothing going on in other planets. No, everywhere there are living entities. That's why that is another interesting thing to understand in the verse. So even at the time of annihilation, so none of the even at the time like in this verse Krishna is telling also Vaibhashikas and Lokayatikas thinking that it is a matter of chemicals. But in the last verse Krishna is telling that even at the time of annihilation, soul is not finishing. Soul is just taking another body. As soon as this body, then we enter into mother's womb. Or going through the hell. So to suffer and then again another body immediate. There is no gap. Some or the other. Either we have this karma body, it is called karma body. Then, or if we go to hell, we call yatana body. We get it is a gross body, subtle body is covering on the soul. The soul is there when it is taken to hell. Instead of the ordinary in the earthly planet, we have this karma body, gross body, and subtle body. We will be taken yatana body instead of gross body, karma body. We will have yatana body. Subtle body will be still there, and then will be taken, but more subtle though. So that's why he will perceive so much pain and suffering will be there in the hell, but he won't die. He can die. So then he will put through the next body, whatever next body based on his activities. But soul, the point is, soul will not die. Soul will not end its course. That was and in another way, Krishna is saying, yeah, none of the material things can act on the soul. That is the point Krishna is bringing. So that we should not be attached to this body. We should not be attached to the loss of things in this world. So many things we may lose in terms of the family, wealth, and so many things we may go through. And we should be ready to. That's why he's bringing the point of sanatana, eternal. So work on yourself, work on internal development to come to the path of transcendence of sanatana. Yourself is Sanatan, each and every living entity, and you work on internal development of Sanatana Dharma. Since you are eternal, you have to work on eternal Dharma. Side by side, body, yes, since body is being given, you have to maintain, you have to keep it up to so that you have energy to go on pursuing your internal development. But more concentrate on the internal development and less concentrate on the external development. Otherwise, will be again and again agitated lamentation. So that will bound to happen. So that's what Krishna is mentioning in the last verses. Now today's verse Krishna is mentioning here, the 27th, no 25th verse, the first verse. Let's see where Krishna is mentioning about avyaktoyam achinchoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadev viditvainam nan sochitam arhasi. So soul is invisible because you can't see 1/10,000 tip of the hair. So Kesaka Satavaga Satada Kalpitasya. That is the definition given. That means if you take the tip of the hair is so small and you cut 10,000 times, then that much small it is. Super soul is also same, and both soul and super soul is in the heart. Yesara Sarvabhutana Hriddeshorjanatas. It is in the heart. That is where the soul is there. That's where the energy. That's why you can understand the same two persons. If you take one who is acting on the bodily platform, one who is acting on the spiritual soul platform, one who is performing activities on the platform of bhakti, the person, same person, if he is given work, he can do the same work in less time and much more active. So because the energy is coming from super soul to soul. General energy is given to both equally, but one who is engaged in spiritual activities is operating on the spiritual platform, then you will have much more energy because that same more energy will be given from the super soul to soul. Super soul. That's why scientists cannot understand where the red corpuscle, white. These are getting energy, transferring the energy, transporting the energy from the heart to everywhere throughout the body. It is coming from the super soul to soul. As soon as the soul leaves this body, super soul is also goes. Because super soul, as soon as super soul is not there, nothing can work in this world, in this material world, nothing. Not sun, not moon, nothing. Literally nothing can work. Everything collapses as soon as. That's why Lord has to glance, Lord is there. That is why it is universal body. This whole material world is Lord's universal body. He is there in every atom. So yeah, that's why Krishna is mentioning soul is invisible. You can't see it. Unmanifested. Another places, many places, Abhyakta is used is unmanifested. Because Lord Krishna performs pastimes or any incarnation of the Lord, he will come, but he can't see it. Right now, also Krishna's pastimes going on Vrindavan, Mayapur, Jagannath Puri, in so many places, but we can't see it because it is not manifest. We can't see it because right now we have blunt senses. We haven't spiritualized our senses, our mind, our intelligence, so that's why we can't see. So that's the invisible. and achinchoim, inconceivable. So, because it is not something which cannot be conceived with our blunt material senses. अतः श्री कृष्ण नामादि भवेद ना ग्राह्यम इंद्रिय सेवोन्मुखे जिह्वादो स्वयं एव स्फुरति. So that's why one must because this knowledge is coming, it has to be understood in three ways, as Vedic scriptures give definition that one is pratyaksha, what you see is what you believe. Second is aitihiya, then anuman, or the third one is shruti. Shruti is hearing from the Vedic knowledge. So that's a Bhagavad Gita. Krishna himself is mentioning also reference 13th chapter verse number 5. Krishna is mentioning. हेतु मद्भिर विनिश्चितम ब्रह्म उपनिषद हेतु मद्भिर विनिश्चितम. This is ascertained by the Vedas, because that's why Vedas or Vedanta Sutra is called Nyaya Prasthan. There are three Prasthans: Nyaya Prasthan, Shruti Prasthan, and Smruti Prasthan. Nyaya means use your reasonable logic and argument. Understand that Janmadhyasya, how everything is coming. Okay, you may say Big Bang, but where that Big Bang? Who has produced that sound? Where did the sound came from? What was the source? So that they can't understand. But Vedic knowledge gives that Big Bang, because the first element which produced from the Supreme Lord's glance is the sound. So that's why that sound has come. But source is Supreme Lord. So through Karma, three Purusha avatars, this has come. But scientists cannot ascertain because they are going through the inductive knowledge. They are going from not descending but ascending. So like just like Prabhupada gave example that the mother and father, the child can need to find out who is the father. Then directly ask mother. Mother will give who is the father. Otherwise, you are go on searching how many DNAs you are going to search after to find out who is your father. So very simple. The same way that's why it has to be descending. Knowledge has to be descending. That is the perfect knowledge, because otherwise it is not a 100% proof. Pratyaksha is not 100% proof. Aitihiya is not also Anuman hypothesis. They say that in these verses, Krishna is explaining that. Yeah, some people may say that this is all bag of chemicals. There is no soul. Buddhists also, there are three philosophies Krishna is mentioning in this verse, next verse, 25, 26, 27. He's bringing, so far he has brought about Sankhya Yoga, Jnana Yoga. Now he's talking about three different philosophies. First is, and then 27 is talking about karmavad, activity, because the next section is karma. He has to talk about now about karma, duty. So karmavad 27 is stressing fully, and then 26 and 25 also to some extent. 26 mainly is talking about Buddhist philosophy and atheism, nihilistic philosophy, and then Vaibhashika, Lokayatika, these also philosophy. But the actual in from Vedic version, there are six philosophies defined. So, but we look at that first here, what this 26 verse is telling. So it is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. So inconceivable means you can conceive the ideas, like you can understand how this whole material world was created. So just like the atom is there, in each and every atom there is matter and there is spirit. Inconceivable, because that is the main thing you have to know. One is matter, one is spirit. Using matter, can you understand spirit? No, you can't understand spirit. Matter and spirit are completely distinguished. One is inferior, one is superior. It doesn't have Chetana consciousness. How can I understand two different things? So that's the inconceivable. And so same atom, that's a bhumi rapo analo vayu kam buddhir mano evacha ahankar iti me binna prakriti apareyam vitastanyam prakritim vidyame param jiva bhutam mahabhavo yedam darite jagat. And seventh chapter Krishna is that. That means one is inferior, which is material, which is the same atoms. Atoms are there everywhere, but that is material, which doesn't have a consciousness. But we are also atom, but we are a spiritual atom. We have consciousness. But the rest of them is like the body, the external body is matter. And it is just back up. Prabhupada explains in the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Tejo vari mrutam yata vinimayo yatra trisargo amrusa. Is giving the fire, air, and water. In the whole world, anything you take, these elements only, everywhere. You take the bricks. Bricks is made of fire, air, water only. Then If the bricks are powdered, then it becomes cement. You can make cement, and then further down, it's completely again decomposition. When the body is there, body is made up of these elements. And to dry that brick, then you air and sky is there, ether. So these are the five elements. So however you combine these elements, it doesn't have a consciousness. Somebody else has to make these bricks, make these things. Otherwise, it has no use. It doesn't have its consciousness by its own. The so that's why soul is unchangeable. Soul is inconceivable. You can't understand. You can't conceive because spirit cannot be understood by matter. The scientists are trying to understand, but they can't even see. They can't figure it out because you have to receive this knowledge. Anything about the spirit, somebody a super spirit. Those who are in the super consciousness, those are enlightened person, they can give the knowledge, descending order. You can't understand this. However, you may try through scientific research, you can't understand the soul. That's inconceivable and immutable, and cannot be changed. Soul cannot be changed. That means Atma is Atma, Paramatma is Paramatma. So Atma can never become Paramatma. So that is another why Krishna is repeating here in this verse is to bring that point that some people has that idea that right now we are conditioned, we can become God. So especially in Mayavad philosophy, as soon as they take sannyas, they call each other Narayan. Jiva can never become Narayan. Jiva is Jiva. That's why there is a Brahman, there is Parabrahman. There is soul, super soul. There is Anu, there is Vibhu. Nityo Nityanam, Chetana Chetanam. Yo Vidadati Kama. So one is single and all others are plural. The single is Supreme Lord and Jiva is plural. Living entities are so many, innumerable, so many species, all the way from aquatics to human beings. So that's what Krishna is mentioning here. So because you are a soul, it is anyway inconceivable. You can't understand so easily. You give up this lamentation for the temporary nature of this body. So give up that lamentation and um, start fighting, start doing your duty. And then the next verse Krishna is mentioning is coming to the point. In the three verses, is giving the next philosophy. Ata chainam nitya jatam nityam va manyase amritam tata vitvam mahavaho nainam sochitam arasi. However, you think that the soul will be always born and die forever. You still have no reason to lament. See, these Vaibhashikas and first of all Buddhists. Buddhists has philosophy that everything and zero. Once we finish it, at the end, there is nothing zero. There is no soul. They don't believe in soul. They don't believe in God either. So this is the Buddhist philosophy. So that's the Prabhupada specifically came because it is a step by step progress. Initially, there was so much, they are killing left and right in the name of Vedas. So that's why then Lord Buddha has come. Sammohai Surat Visham to bewilder the living entities. So that at least there is no Veda because they are killing based on Veda, they are killing left and right. So that's it. To stop that, Lord Buddha, Lord has specifically as Siktya based avatar, as Buddha, he has come to specifically to put stop to that unwanted way of using Vedas and doing whatever they want. At least to put that to end. So he has brought up, but he told, okay, don't know God, but you worship me because he is God himself. So in that way, he cheated everybody. Sammohai Surat Visham. Then after that, then now the Vedas has to establish the next process. After so many years, 1,000 years, there is a lag of each of these appearance of Supreme Law. Then the Shankaracharya has come to establish now bring back the Vedas. But he didn't get at that time. Still, people are not at that higher level. Shankaracharya has to establish now. Vedic knowledge is there, but he has given Mayavad philosophy. So that so you can become God. So or the Lord doesn't have form. Yeah, that is the main thing. Lord doesn't have a form. Nirakar form. Lord doesn't have head. That is more dangerous than at least Buddhist philosophy. So Lord, you don't have hands, you don't have legs, you don't have eyes. So that's how they think. So that is also not correct because Shastra clearly saying because everywhere there's a person in this world, then how can you say there's imperson? From imperson anything can work. Your car cannot work, your flight cannot work, nothing can work without a person. Sun god is there, moon god is there, everywhere the personality is there. How can you claim that there is no person? When Shastra says Nirguna, Nirakar means Lord doesn't have material eyes, material hands, material legs. He doesn't have material form like us. So that is what Nirguna means, Nirakar means. He has transcendental form. He is there, he is inconceivable because he is there in spiritual world. At the same time, he is there expanding himself. When we are offering, he is taking his hands can be stretched from spiritual world to here, he can eat it. But still the same food is remaining there. So that is inconceivable. Because for ordinary materialists, he can, what is this offering? Yes. What do you mean? Why I should offer and eat? But Krishna is telling, because Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself is telling, you have to offer and eat. In 3.9 and 13, 3.9 Krishna is telling, Ignartha karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandh. Tadardam karma konte mukta sangha samadra. You must engage in offer sacrifices and you take, once you offer sacrifice, then you take, then there is no reaction. And then specifically is calling out even to the food. Ignasistas, santo, muchante sarvakilve, bunjate dogam pap pachanti atma karanat. Food must be offered. Then otherwise there is a reaction. Anything you do in this world has a reaction. So Prabhupada also calls, the Prabhupada talks about Arya Samajis in this world. There are so many people in this world. Why I should worship God? That's why this philosophy has been brought. Krishna is mentioning here. Because this is bound to happen. At that time itself, people are there. Then now it's even more. So that no need to worship God. You just feed poor people. You just give some clothing. You just do. You why just be moral? By be honest. Krishna Prabhupada talks about. You see in this world, unless one is God conscious, he cannot be moral. He cannot be moral so long. He cannot be honest. Where is the moral? You are killing whatever you want and you eat, then how can it be moral? Because on what basis you define morality? Like if you are living in this any country or any city, there is a laws of the government, laws of the country. When somebody is moral means on what basis? Country laws, government laws. And based on that basis, then it's not that somebody individually defines, I am moral. No, it has to be based on where you live accordingly, whether you are morally behaving or not. But in the same way, then if somebody has to define that honesty and morality on what basis? It has to be based on the Vedic evidence, Vedic instruction. And Veda clearly tells, Dharmantu Sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. When it is based on what Krishna is telling, what is Dharma, what is not Dharma, then based on that you can define whether you are acting morally or immorally, whether you are honest or dishonest. That's why unless one is God conscious, he cannot become honest. He cannot be moral. That's why the verse is there. Tada avakta unkuto mahat gunad vahi. He is operating on the mental platform, mental speculation. They claim that I don't need to worship God. So we just help others. We become moral. We become honest. Then why? What is the use of going to temple? What is the use of worshiping God? Yes, you can go on. You will be here in this world for so long. You have that idea, and you can't move much because internal development cannot happen. Only externally you think. uh, Individually you can think so long that there's on the Prabhupada's example. Yudhishthira Maharaj also thought the same thing. I am so moral. That's why we were talking about yesterday in the class. That one is very easy. Karma Mishra Bhakti, Gnana Mishra Bhakti is also easy because you can renounce. What is there? Gnana means, okay, I renounce this world. It's too difficult. I will go to forest and sit. Or you can say that, I will give up sweet. I will give up this item. Or I will give up this car. I will give up this home. This is easy. But actually to take out unwanted things, what Krishna gives, that is very difficult to follow. So that's why sometimes somebody already learned so many isms and philosophies in the brain, then to understand Bhagavad Gita, it becomes so difficult. He already has so many philosophy in the brain. Then when what Krishna is telling, he can't understand. So first that has to be wiped out, cleaned up first. Then you can understand. It's simple, simple everything what Krishna is telling. But one who has already heard so many hundreds of philosophies, then he cannot understand what is right, what is not right. Because what Krishna, you have to accept the Vedic evidence, the descending order, who is authority. Because soul, you cannot even perceive, then on what basis you are going to accept somebody's authority? If they cannot even, they can use their microscopes or whatever, they cannot even test in the lab because it is these are what element, these whatever things you bring, that is matter. And with matter, can you test anything spirit? No, you can't test it. So So that's why they in this particular second 26th verse, Krishna is bringing Vaibhasika and Lokayati. What they say is, you bring bag of chemicals. It is all. Buddhists also think that there is no soul. When you die, when you give up this body, then everything is finished, zero. Okay, even if you go by Buddhist philosophy, everything is zero. Anyway, people are left and right, people are born, people are dying. Then what is the point? Okay, you think that there is no soul, once you end, then again you will be born. You will again the bodies are appearing, people are disappearing, people are appearing. So what is the problem? Even if you think that, so you should not give up work. Okay, anyway, you will be born. So even if you kill them, then they will be born again. So what is the worry? Even if you think that philosophy also, still you should not worry. You cannot give up your duty, even on that basis also. Lokayatikas, Vaibhashikas. So he is telling this philosophy, but this is not the actual. And then there we have six actual, originally six philosophies. Sad Darshan. One must know this Sad Darshan. One is where the conversation between in Chaitanya Charitamrita between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Chandrasekhar Acharya or Tapan Mishra. There is a conversation where when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu come to Varanasi, Mayavadis, Prakash Ananda, there is a discussion of the six philosophies. Of first one is Nyaya, uh, or Vaisheshika. First one is Vaisheshika, given by the different. Vyasdev has given to divide and given to different personalities. First one is Kanada. Kanada has given this Vaisheshika. Means it is not Vaibhasika. Here it is Vaibhasika is different. Vaibhasika and Lokayatikas means it's a bag of chemicals. So everything will end zero. So there is no soul basically. That is their idea. But in the first aspect, there is a Vaisheshika, the first one. Out of six Sat Darshan, it is called. There are six things. First one is Vaisheshika, second one is Nyaya, third one is Yoga, Patanjali, and then fourth one is Sankhya, and fifth one is Mimamsa, and sixth one is the actual real thing, the Vedanta. So the Vedanta is defined in three prasthans. Nyaya prasthan, which is use your logic and argument and try to understand. And it makes sense when you apply. As I give the Taylor example, or as I give Tejo Varim Vratam, the fire, air, water. Anything in this world, you look at the building, you look at the mic, look at anything in this world, aeroplane, everything is made of these elements only. Five. Who has given these elements? I want to produce. Okay, can you produce one soul? Small ant. Don't produce human being. Just produce one ant. No one could produce even a single ant for millions of lifetimes gone. So millions of years. Now, not a single scientist could produce one soul. So what is the use of? You talk about experiment, observation. Okay, you observe how long you want to observe, but prove it by experiment. Then you can, that is scientist. You have to prove it by experiment. If you cannot, then you have to go by the authority who is giving the real knowledge. Neither you can prove, nor you go by the authority, neither you accept the authority. Then where you will go with that philosophy? You can't go much. Because if you cannot prove something, then you have to go by somebody. If you don't know about God, who God is, what his name is, what is his activity, what does he do, where does he live, how these planets are coming, you don't know. Then if somebody is giving, then you say it's mythology. You don't accept it. Then it doesn't make any logical sense. Neither you know, neither you are accepting the what somebody is giving the higher knowledge. So that's why we have to take the evidence from Vedic knowledge, because Vedic knowledge is giving everything so in great detail. So there it is mentioned, that's why Nyaya Prasthan, Vedic knowledge, because it gives by logic and argument all these things. It is such that Prabhupada explained that Nyaya in the six philosophies, Nyaya, all the first five philosophies as is not full, it is not complete. It has its issues, it has its defects. The sixth one is complete, which is Vedanta philosophy, Vedanta Sutra, which Vyasdeva completely has written. The Vedas, four Vedas, Upanishad, Purana, and then Vedanta Sutra, natural commentary. Srimad Bhagavatam is a natural commentary. That's why we have to read and hear every day Srimad Bhagavatam, because that gives everything, the essence of everything. Bhagavad Gita is the foundation, Srimad Bhagavatam is in great detail with great examples. That's why we read and hear every day Srimad Bhagavatam in the morning. So, as Narottam Das Thakur disappearance day today, he himself is mentioning, if one wants to taste, release the bhakti, then bhakti rasa aswadana kare, विचार करे मने भक्ति रस आस्वादने मध्यस्थ श्री भागवत पुराण. In our life, Bhagavatam has to be kept in the middle. That means every day we have to read. Not a single day should go by. We have to read Bhagavatam. We cannot go with it because by Srimad Bhagavatam, then we can understand what is reality, what is not reality. What work we should do, what work we should not do. What we should accept, what we should give up. Everything is crystal clearly with examples. We will get to know. Sooner or later, more we hear, more we will understand. All the doubts will be taken. So the Nyaya Prasthan is like logic and argument. Even though using the same Vedic study, it will make sense. It will give examples, then you can understand. Use your logic. That is the first one. Then the Shruti Prasthan. Shruti means you hear and you accept it. That is the Vedic knowledge. Shruti says your body is made up of these five gross elements. Every living entity, aquatic to human being, everyone. And then other elements are there, but even the universal body is also made up of the same material elements, five material elements. So then you accept it because that is Shruti. You are getting the knowledge, descending order from all the way from Lord Krishna to Lord Brahma and then descending, coming down. So and Smriti means remembering history based on the Purana, not the ordinary material history. In this material, no, that is also coming from Purana, Mahabharata, Ramayana. These are all Itihasa, these are Puranas, these are discussion between some personality, what has happened in the past. So all these things are described. So that is Smriti. So Nyaya Prasthan, Smriti Prasthan. Prasthan means process. So understanding the ultimate, the whole, everything is mainly to understand who we are, who is Supreme Lord, Sambandha, and our practice to attain that perfection of attaining our original spiritual nature. That is the process. That's why it is called Prasthan. The process to attain that perfection. So there are three different ways: Nyaya Prasthan, Shruti Prasthan, Smriti Prasthan. These are three ways. But to understand these things, there are six philosophies. The sixth philosophy is Vedanta is of these three categories. That is the foremost important for our study. For others, those who doesn't believe, there are atheists in these five categories. So the other than is Vaibhashika, Loka ethical, there's five. The first one is Nyaya. The first one is Vaisheshika, not Vaibhashika, Vaisheshika, which means Anuvad, Paramanuvad. They think that Paramanvad means atom, everything atom. But they cannot distinguish because in the same atom, Amdantarastu Paramanu Chayamtarastum, Paramanvad, that is what they call Kanada, that is a sage name. He has produced this. Paramanuvad means in every atom, throughout the material world, there is atoms everywhere. Just like sun particles, sun rays. When you throw in the morning, you'll see that sun is coming. You can see that effulgence glittering. So that is atom. So we are also atom. But that is matter, this is spirit. We are soul, we have consciousness. We can move. So matter cannot move unless some divine supervision is there, then matter can move. By our own thing, we can move. So that is the difference. But they cannot explain that fully. They explain only halfway. So that's why it is defective. The Paramanuvad by Kanada, by Sheshika philosophy. The second one is Nyaya. This Nyaya also Prabhupada explained. This is not the Nyaya which I explained earlier. Nyaya Prasthan, this is not the same. This Nyaya Prabhupada gives different names. One is Sutotpatti Nyaya. When Lord Brahma sleeps, Suta Utpatti. Utpatti means waking up, Suta means sleeping. Sushupti, deep sleep. There are different kinds of sleep stages. So when Lord Brahma sleeps, at the day of Brahma is done, he is sleeping for almost half day. Means, just like in the night time we sleep, same way Lord Brahma is also sleeping. But his time is long, long time. Lord Vishnu is also sleeping. He is Yoga Nidra. We are in 4 Chaturmasa period, 4 months period. Lord sleeps, Lord Mahavishnu. Just a blink for him. 4 months is just nothing. But Yoga Nidra, that's why Yoga means he knows everything going on. That's it, Yoga Nidra. That is Mahavishnu's business. When Lord Brahma's business, that is one night, one day, and one night is 1,000 yuga cycle is one day. Same way, one night. That time, Lord Brahma is sleeping. So he forgets. Then as soon as he wakes up, then he remembers. So it is like that. So during night he will forget, and waking up he will remember. So this is one kind of nyaya, sutotpatti nyaya. So the second one is the ardha kukuti nyaya. So you hen is first or egg is first. So halfway these things, and that is Artha Kukitna. Then the another one is Prabhupada talks about what is that? Bada under Nyaya. The egg. The Prabhupada talks about the duck, I think. Baka. Baka under Nyaya. So the some or the other, this duck has saw an egg. It thought it is its own egg or something like that. So that is another clause. The other one is Ajagalastana Nyaya. Which goat has nipples. It is not the same nipples as the other jivas. It cannot produce. Goat has a that neck is like a looks like a nipple. It is not the same. So like that I can perceive. Oh, this may be like that. That may by anuman, by your own, and you think like that, but in reality it is not the case. So no, goat doesn't have that. Goat's body is looks like a nipple, but he can't produce any milk. So that is ajagas like that. There are so many different logics, but these logics, when it is not having a proper, you cannot prove it by various similarities. You bring it, then you prove it with many examples. More similarity, then more it's concrete. You can prove something. So if you cannot give the more similarity, then your theory is wrong. So that these kind of nyayas is not going to work. So that is what the second one. This kind of nyaya, by I think this is second by Gautama. I think. So different layers. Then you have the third one by the Sankhya. Sankhya means these various 25 or 26 elements. Again, there's atheistic Sankhya. So atheistic Kapila also is there. So that is also not right because ultimately you deny the Supreme Lord, you deny God. All these places, all these authorities of this Kanada, Gautama, the Astavakra, as other sages' name, I forget. I think not Patanjali. I think so. All these are defective because they don't accept God. They don't accept God. They they accept something else as a matter. So that's why it is defective. The first one is Vaisheshika, propounded by Kanada. The second was Nyaya, propounded by Gautam Rishi. That Nyaya, as I mentioned, five or six different kind of logic and argument. And the third one is yoga or mysticism propounded by Patanjali. Again, that's why you'll see today is old. How many yogas are there? Real yoga actually is to connect with the Lord in a personal form. That is actual real yoga. But today's yoga in most of these those sages defective. It has its defects. And that's why it cannot be accepted. Number fourth philosophy is Sankhya Yoga. So Kapila Rishi, the atheistic Kapila and the actual real Kapila is Lord Vishnu himself, expanded himself. That is the real Sankhya. But here this is atheistic Sankhya. They don't again accept the God there. So that's why it is also defective. Then the fifth philosophy is Karma Mimamsa. This is Jaimini Rishi. This is Karma Mimamsa means yeah, I don't need to. Anyway, so by my work, there is a reaction. If I do something, I get the result. So why I have to depend on God? So Mimamsa, Karma Mimamsa. They don't accept it. Even though Vedas is clearly Karmana Daiva Netrena. Action and reaction for your action, who's giving the reaction and who is the authority? In this material world, if something you do, there is authority in a company or in a business, in the government, everywhere. There is a person who is watching, like High Court judge. Based on what you have done, positive or negative, then accordingly you will give. He is not you cannot blame him because he is only looking at what a person do, and then accordingly he will give judgment. Same way the Supreme Lord is also looking at and seeing what exactly this jiva has done, and he is giving the reaction. Karmana devanetren janto deho bhate. People are getting different bodies. Karanam, Gunasanga, Sad, Asad, Janmaya. Because he is associating with three modes, that's why sometimes he is having a passionate body, sometimes he is having a ignorance body, tamasic body, sometimes he have a sattvagun body, sometimes he is Brahmana, sometimes he is Kshatriya, sometimes Vaishya, sometimes he is a dog, sometimes cat, sometimes ant, sometimes demigod. So different lifetimes he is taking different bodies. So it is all under the divine supervision. No one is above. It is all happening. Even the Durga Devi is there in the picture, but she is also acting. Maya Dhakshena Prakriti, Suyate Sacha, moving, non moving, everything is under the jurisdiction of the Supreme Lord, under Maya Devi, Durga Devi. So that's how. these things has to be understood. So that's why even the karma mimamsa is defective. So because he is propounding something that just you do work and you don't need to depend on God. In the 18th chapter also Krishna is emphasizing that when he second chapter is explaining just on the outside itself karma, nishkama karma, jnana, um, yoga, bhakti yoga is explaining all these things. But in the 18th chapter is going, now you understood all the knowledge till 17th chapter. Now you have to know what is, how you should act on a karma mishra bhakti. So the knowledge on the basis of karma mishra bhakti, knowledge on the basis on the jnana mishra bhakti, knowledge based on the yoga mishra bhakti, how you should work. But finally then Krishna speaks now on the platform of the highest self-realization. That's the 18th chapter is more deeper than the second chapter. It's the same yogas Krishna is describing, but with much more deeper. How one's enthusiasm will be there, how one's determination will be there, how one's austerity, charity, all these things. The last few chapters Krishna is describing in what mode is operating. Is he operating a mode of ignorance, mode of passion, mode of goodness? Then we should know so that then we have to move from one level above, from one mode to another mode. But all these things will automatically will move completely, will become free from all these three lower modes and become Visuddha Sattva when you perform in process of Bhakti Yoga. Naturally, we will come to that pure goodness, Visuddha Sattva, it is called. Even ordinary goodness has a problem because we think we are scholar, we think we are, I am a great Brahmana, I do a lot of worship. So we will become proud of our knowledge, we will become proud of our cleanliness, we will become proud of our dress. Again, we get caught up by externals. A real Pandit means is not caught up by externals, is caught up by internals. Is always conscious of, is not the doer, is Supreme Lord. By His force, I am able to do certain things. So by His force, I know something. I am a scholar or whatever. So that is, he never accepts he is the doer. He never accepts he is independent because everything is happening with the divine supervision. That is because one who is really learned. So that's why he is always sober. That's why he is always not agitated. He is patient. He is tolerant. So because he is really learned, how much one can cooperate to that extent, you know whether he is learned or not learned. He is always agitated means he is not learned. He is still practicing. He is still operating in the lower modes. So that is the difference. How a realized person acts. Like Sri Prabhupada went through two accidents when the aeroplane and the car hardly spoke anything. He was not. There is no face expression itself. There is no reaction. So that the sober person, that whether he is pure devotee or not, then you know when the actually real thing happens, then you know actually how much is pure, how much is agitated when something happens. So as though nothing happened, you move on. When those who are learned, they move on. Nothing, as though nothing has happened. Because this is a temporary nature. What else can you expect in this sitting in this material janma muchu jara vyadi dukkha doshanudarsana? You can't expect more than this. So that doesn't mean you should stop. That's why Krishna is telling Arjuna, don't stop fighting because minute you give up your work, you are operating in the lower mode. Your ignorance of your actual, you are forgetting your duty. So even if you think that you are this body, you think that there is no soul, still you should act. You should act because there is no cause. Anyway, you will be born again. So every minute there are so many living and dying, and then again they are born. So what is the use of lamentation? The 27th, 26th verse is bringing this Buddha philosophy. Some are atheistic philosophy. They don't believe in God at all. They don't, and everything becomes zero. There is a Prabhupada came to preach. Nirvisesha Sunyavad. Sunyavad is Buddha philosophy. The Nirviseshavad is Mayavad philosophy. Nirvisesha means there is no variety. God doesn't have form. God doesn't have hands, legs, a Brahman effulgence. There is two slight difference. One is Brahmavad, one is Mayavad. Brahman effulgence. Brahmavad means Brahman effulgence, everything. Everything came from impersonal form. The Nirvisesha also means the Brahman effulgence is no variety. But these Mayavadis, they cannot even merge into Brahman effulgence because there is even more defective than Brahmavad. So those who believe that everything came from Brahman, because Mayavadi thinks right now I am conditioned, but at one point I become God. You are Narayana, I am also Narayana. But that is never the case. That is even more dangerous. Mayavadi Sunilere Bhashya Sarvanash. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is instructed. Don't associate with Mayavadi, don't hear from Mayavadis. And in Vrindavan also today you will find so many Mayavadas, so many Mayavadis. Many great speakers in this world today on YouTube, Facebook are them only, Mayavadis only. They talk about God doesn't come. Everything came from somewhere, nowhere. Nothing is there, from there it came. How? You show something in this world, nothing is there, and then something is running without anybody. Show something, experiment, prove something by experiment, then we can talk about, we can accept you. In this world, you can't see anything like that, then how can you accept something? So that's why we have to question those who are proving this Mayavada philosophy, all these philosophies, you have to question them. That's why we have to study Prabhupada books detailedly. Then you will know. Otherwise, somebody speaks eloquently, then immediately you accept their philosophy. So that's why Prabhupada clearly gives, and Shastra clearly gives the six philosophies, how defective they are, with great detail. Because in the interest of time, we can't go further in great detail. We gave at least a brief idea so that we all know when somebody speaks on these philosophies, somebody gives some hints, then we know what background is coming from, which philosophy is talking about, where it does it fit in, which one is actually perfect our life, which one doesn't perfect our life. So any of these five philosophies defective, we cannot operate on the platform of the soul, because when it is defective, when it is on the matter conscious, you can't understand spirit. It is inconceivable. So that's why we have to operate on the spiritual platform. That means we have to accept the Vedanta, because it is coming directly from the mouth of Apaurushaya. It is coming from the breathing of Mahavishnu. In Bhagavad Gita verses are there. Krishna himself is mentioning that in the third chapter or fifth chapter, Krishna himself is mentioning about the where the activity is ordained and the ignas are coming from prescribed duties. These are situated in transcendence, and it is coming from me. So that's why you have to follow what I'm instructing you. So that is beneficial for you. Then you can have internal development. So that's what it is. The sixth one is the Vedanta. Fifth one is the Jaimini Rishi. So that is also defective. The sixth one is the one which we follow. The whole Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita is Vyasdev specifically taken this. All others are divided, given to other, his disciples. So but he has taken the real one. That's why you'll see in the 15.15 Vedanta Krit Veda with Eva Chaham, because this Vedanta Veda with is talking about this Vedanta Sutra, the sixth philosophy. So yeah, that's what it is. In this 26th, 27th verse, this particular verse, Krishna is speaking about Karmavad. Now Krishna is speaking Karmavad, because in the next section, anyway, concluding basically, Krishna is concluding to Arjuna, give up your lamentation and fight, because that is your duty. As Kshatriya, you are supposed to Mahabahu, you are a great fighter, you are coming great family, now you should do your duty. You cannot give up your duty. That will be actually simple activity. So that's what Jatasya hi dhruvam mrityur dhruvam janmam mritas. Anyway, you are going to die. Even if whatever philosophy you are going to accept it, still you are going to die. So you might as well do the work. Tasmad apariharyade natvam sochidam arasi. So don't lament, because anyway chemical what bag of chemicals what it will do. So it is unavoidable. Soul is active. Soul is always active. So you have to do something. And to maintain your body, you have to eat. So that means you have to work. Without working, nothing is going to happen in this world. So that's why you better do your duty. So karmavad, Krishna is mentioning. So that's how this section is. A lot of philosophy, maybe more complicated than we expected. But any questions you can ask, otherwise we'll stop here. Anyone has any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Anjanaya.
go ahead.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, it was like too much information, and I know I joined little late as there was a network issue. I was outside.
Go ahead, no
So
problem.
yoga, the yoga you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Many yogas. So which one was the Sankhya yoga you were saying? The Gyan
Sankhya,
yoga?
yeah, Sankhya yoga is equal to Jnana yoga. It's the same. Sankhya Yoga
Okay.
is all nothing but in Bhagavad Gita, specifically, Krishna is only talking about the detailed description of analytical study of what is body, what body is made of, what is soul, what are the characteristics of the soul. That is what Sankhya Yoga in Bhagavad Gita. In Srimad Bhagavata, it goes, this body means these 26 elements, 23. The gross body has the earth, water, fire, air, ether, these five elements. And then you have the hand, legs, genitals, and anus, and mouth. These are the five working senses, karmendriyas. And then you have five jnanendriyas, which is ear, the eyes, the nose, the touch, the tongue. These are the five knowledge acquiring senses. So the five and five. Karmendriya, Jnana, 5 and 5, 10. This is Pancha Mahabhuta, this is air, water, earth, fire, ether. This 15. Then you have the three modes of material nature, passion, goodness, ignorance, 318. And then you have the each of these Jnanendriyas has its objects, like the eyes as a vision form, the ears as the sound,
Mm.
senses and sense objects is called tan matras. So
Mm.
those are five. So 18 plus 5, 23. So the Kala time factor 24. Depending, it is anywhere from 23 to 28. Sometimes, sometimes they add Mahatattva, which is the original substance, and manifest. This 26, it is just like a cloud. This material world is explained like a cloud. Cloud is there,
Mm.
it appears, disappears. Same way this material world is created, maintained, annihilated, again disappears. Again creates like that. We are coming, taking
Mm.
different ways. So, but it is always there. It is not the material world is not. That is another philosophy of Jagan Mithya. Brahma Satya, Jagan Mithya. Some of these Mayavad philosophy. Brahma Satya. Brahma is truth. Jagan Mithya. This is false. But this material world is not false. Anything coming from Supreme Lord is never false. It is true. It is only temporary. It is not permanent. That's what we have to understand. So that is another philosophy. So the Sankhya Yoga is nothing but Gnana Yoga. It gives a knowledge of understanding what the body is, what the soul is, and detailed description of what body is made up of, what is character, how it is always changing. It is it is temporary. It gives all the lamentation, frustration, anxiety, fear. All these things is absorption on the body because in Hindi they say adhyas ho gaye, acquaintance. The soul is acquainted too much with the body for millions of lifetimes. Then naturally is you can't get away from it unless you are repeatedly being told and repeatedly practicing the internal development. Then when we perfect, then gradually we become free from this bodily until that point. So that's why this has to be repeated. Soul and body, Krishna is repeating almost last 10 plus verses because so important. Because Arjuna himself is identifying with the body. That's why he doesn't want to fight because same family. So that's attached with the body. He forgot his duty. So that's what Sankhya Yoga means. The next, the fifth one, yoga describing of defective philosophy is this Vihanga Yoga, Kriya Yoga, so many yogas. Look at the sixth chapter Bhagavad Gita Krishna is talking about. For
Okay.
devotees, there is a one understanding, one significant essence for yoga also. But for the general public, Krishna is explaining about the process, yama, niyama, asana. First is asana, yama, niyama, rules and regulation, what to do, what not to do. And then pranayam, then you control your breathing. But that's all, this is all external. Till this point, it is all external till pranayam. Then you have to come to the next stage is very important. Pratyaha. That is the beginning. Real perfection is first to start there, pratyaha. That means you have to withdraw your senses from material things. That means you generally you like certain food. The real yogi means even though that same food what he likes deeply attached to, even if he sees is not at all, not even 1% is attached to it. That is what pratyahar means. I'm just giving food example, but it could
Mm.
any of the objects which is attached to the any kind of enjoyment. When he sees is as good as like a tortoise, withdraws its senses at its own will. Like that, he withdraws. He is not attached. He is not bound by it. He is not agitated by it. That is what pratyahar means. But most of the yogas in this world, that's why the Prabhupada talks about. When I said morality and honesty, on what basis? You engage in all kinds of sinful activity, which Shastra clearly says this is immoral. When we go by morality, this is based on the rules of the country, rules of the government. Same way, When we talk about human beings, morality means it is based on the Shastra, Bhagavat Pranitam, what Lord is giving, what is morality, what is not morality. You cannot define this. Otherwise, people will define their morality on their own understanding. But you can't define that. You have to define morality means honesty means it has to be based on what Shastra is giving, what Lord has given. Then you can understand actually who is moral, who is not moral, who is honest, who is not honest. So that's why Yudhishthira Maharaj was being condemned because Lord is telling one thing, you don't want to do it. You think one is moral. You cannot tell lie that you are thinking that is moral. But in that case, he has to see the hell because he told he didn't want to follow what Krishna for a minute or so. Then he did it at the end. So that is what means that is the difference of the yoga of what is there in this today's world of yoga, all kinds of yogas. But the real yoga, sixth chapter, Krishna talks about. He talks about pratyahara also, withdrawing or sensor from sensor. And then he talks about pratyahara dharana. Then, if you cannot do pratyahara, there is no question of dharana. Dharana means your mind is so stable, it doesn't move an inch from your object of your meditation. Object of meditation is Supreme Lord. You're completely focused. Mind is not as it is not like Vishwamitra. As soon as something, yes, seemingly they are meditating so many years, or they may creating planet, they may dip down here and then they may appear in some Himalayas. And all these magics can be done by anybody. It's not a big. It is not spiritual. It is not dharana. Dharana means you should not be agitated by anything. Many of them engage in so many immoral activities. They may have this magical feat. That doesn't mean anything. So that's a pratyahara, dharana, then dhyana, then the real meditation will come. When you have dharana means you are very focused on certain object, days and months. That is what dharana means. Every day. Dhyana, dharana, then samadhi. If there is no question of pratyahara, there is no question of dharana, dhyana, then where is the question of samadhi? Krishna is talking in second chapter, last 15 verses. When Arjuna asks him, who is self-realized? Then he gives symptoms. He doesn't operate on anything on the mental platform. He's not going by what somebody says or what he thinks is right. Yeah? So what Shastra is telling, what God is telling, so that's what he goes by. That's why he doesn't operate on mental. That is actual real pandit, real learned means he doesn't mind is telling all this. Let's enjoy here, let's go there, let's eat here. For today it's okay. Mind is always telling. Mind is always diverting us from Krishna consciousness to some other activities. That is because mind job, that's what we are used to. For many lifetimes we have taken up these bodies, so mind is always carrying that subtle impressions, proclivities, chitta, samskaras. So that's why we can't get away from it. That's why we can't rely on the mind, rely on the intelligence. So we have to rely on the soul and super soul's intelligence. So that's why we have to keep sharpening. Third chapter ending, fourth chapter ending, fifth chapter ending. Beautiful. Krishna, especially third and fourth, Krishna is emphasizing the importance of how to sharpen our intelligence, how important it is to daily read and hear both things. एवं बुद्धे परम बुद्ध्वा संस्तभ्य आत्मानम आत्म जय शत्रु महाबाहो काम रूप धरा. Only way you can conquer your mind is by repeated sharpening your intelligence by regularly hearing and regularly studying. That's how much important it is. Then only, third chapter ending, then only you can understand transcendental knowledge. If you don't repeatedly hear regularly every day, there is nothing urgent, nothing superior, nothing higher than this Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam every day. Even if it is 10 minutes, morning and evening, we should read, we should also hear. Every day we should do. Nothing, weekend, weekday, nothing matters. Whatever, however busy we are, we have to do this. Then only we will automatically we become aloof from this bodily concept. We will become free from fear, anxiety, frustration, lament, everything. Whatever may go on surrounding us, in family, in job, everywhere, nothing will matter. You will be happy always, you will be smiling always, you will be satisfied always, nothing. So you will not be agitated. It takes time. It takes a lot of practice, 15, 20 years plus practice. Study with study focus, gradually increasing, not decreasing. It will happen. It takes time. You will move from this body, you will attain spiritual, just like Pandavas attained spiritual body. In the same body, their body became spiritual while being in this material world. They went in that body. So it is a quick process, but we have to be simple enough to follow the simple. quick process and come to that perfection in few years or few days, few months. It all depends on how much focused we are, how much we are trying to do. So based on that, the result will be days or months or lifetimes. It is different. It's the individual's capacity, what he wants to do. Is that
Is this what is called spiritual birth?
yes? Soul has rebirth. So even the Christians knows resurrection. They say rebirth.
Hmm.
So yes, if we haven't perfected, then we have to be born. But we will be born in a higher family, as in the sixth chapter Bhagavad Gita, verse number I forget. There's a verse Krishna is speaking. You will be born, the living and those who haven't finished the process of bhakti, attained perfection, they will be born in a Brahmana family. Just Prabhupada gives, just like my example, I am being born in Gaur days as my father, a great Vaishnava family. So I am able to cut and he is giving, humbly is putting. Same way, my spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, is born in a Vaishnava family. Great. Srila Bhakti Thakur is a great Acharya, 6th, 7th Goswami. I appeared. So Prabhupada gives that example and that. Sujram Srimatam Gehe Yoga Brashta Vijayate. That is the verse in the 6th chapter, 23rd or some verse number, I forget. Suchinam Srimatam Gehe. Srimatam means those who are wealthy. They don't need to look for, oh, how I'll maintain my body, where is my shelter, when will I get job. No, they don't need, because they're already in the pious family. They have the pious body. They have all the necessities covered. They don't need to endeavor so much. So the natural they progress from where they left off. They continue. Nothing is lost. Those who are performing bhakti, if they done only 2%, they will continue from 2% onwards in the next life. So that's why some of them they become immediately. As their child itself started playing Mridanga and doing Kartal, and they are fully focused. Some of them they attend Mangalarti also. Kids, small kids. It is continuation from the last life. So that's why some of them pick up like so fast. And they go fast also. In advancement also, they go very fast. You look at the sannyasis, some of the sannyasis. So they're hardly 19, 20, 25, less than 25. How could they give? They didn't even marry. They directly taken sannyas. So imagine. That means it is not today. Some of them are eternal liberated souls, pure devotees coming down with what? Very few. Means you can, on a hand numbers, you can number it. But many of them are continuation from the last life. So that's why they could take it up so quickly and rapidly. They can move at a fast pace. But we are not. Most of us are not at that level. So that's why we need a lot of practice. Uh, lot of
So you mean sannyasi or brahmachari like life is uttam than the married one?
no, no, that's not what I mean.
Uh-huh.
I'm generally giving, so like if somebody is already at the age of 15, 17, 18, 19, 20 itself, they are able to give up everything and become sannyas. One is brahmachari wearing saffron cloth is not sannyasi. Sannyasi means
Mhm.
who has taken sannyas ashram. That means he is going on worldwide, going traveling and preaching, not depending on where he is going to get food and where he will stay. He is not agitated with anything. He is depending on only on the Lord. That is what real sannyas means, not external
Mhm.
trust. So that means it needs a lot of courage, a lot of free from fear, so much determination. So it's not easy. But the Shastra is not telling that. It is not based on the outside dress. While being Grihastha, one can become more perfect. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a Grihastha, 11 kids. He was a magistrate. He was working a job. But at the same time, he perfected. His whole life is there was no sinful activity. He is completely perfect. In his judgment, Britishers used to come. Any problem, they used to go to him because he has written so many books. Even when Prabhupada came here to the Western world, he already found the books what Bhaktivinoda Thakur written, teachings of Lord TLC. In McGill University in Canada and other university, he could find. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that time itself, in 1800s, 1811, he sent these books. He printed it, he translated it, he printed it, and he sent the books. You can imagine. Where is the time? When he is a magistrate, when you have 11 kids, where is the time for Grihastha? So that the acharyas show because what empowerment they have, it is not possible. Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tare Pravartan. Unless we are empowered by a Guru, Acharya, so Prabhupada and previous Acharyas on the Lord, we can actually do that kind of transformation so quick and so rapid. That's why we need mercy from the Hari, Guru, and Vaishnava. these three personalities, then we can easily quickly progress step by step. Otherwise, it's difficult. By your own endeavor, it's very difficult. Like any material subject, you go to the 10th grade, intermediate, even SAT, we have to study. Only a few people can do on their own without going through anybody. On their own, they can write, they can pass, they can get the higher marks. But most of them have to go to some tuition or the other. They have to study a lot to have passed even the basic SAT exams. So that's how it is in the material world, material education. It is always under the guidance. Whether medical field, engineering field, any field you look at, it's always under somebody's guidance. Then only you can learn something. So transcendental matter, it's even more important because it is inconceivable. So how will you understand unless somebody who has realized it is gives example and it makes sense. More you read, more you hear, it makes sense. What is the right path to choose? What is the easiest path also? So Ashtanga Yoga, all this Sankhya Yoga, after explaining all these things, Krishna compounds and stresses more in the sixth chapter at the end. Yoginam api sarvesham mad gatena antaratmana siddhavan yo bhajate. Same yuktatomo mata. He is the topmost. Even though Krishna is explaining that is Ashtanga Yoga, Asana, everything, but he tells at the end, no, they are not the topmost. They can't control so much. Even though, however they may try, it's so difficult, this process of Ashtanga Yoga. But my devotees, they are topmost. Because for them, naturally they can control. They don't need to give up anything. They don't need to renounce anything externally. It is more internally. They don't need to renounce anything. They can continue in family life. It is only internally how much they are detached from these worldly things. Everything they utilize in Krishna service. So that's how they become great yogis naturally. Like Prabhupada used everything, whatever money, whatever wealth, whatever people are giving, everything he used in service of Krishna. That's why he was able to establish these many temples in 10 years, 108 temples, 10,000 disciples, and 14 times he could travel. Not ordinary, not any great personalities, you name it, no one could do what Prabhupada has done. Because he has been empowered by his spiritual master, empowered by the Lord, Hari, Guru, Vaishnava, he got the great mercy from these three personalities. So that's why he could do. So otherwise, it's not possible.
So which path is the right one and easy one?
The
Bhakti?
Bhakti is theirs. Bhakti is the easiest. Krishna himself is telling, why take my words? So Krishna's word only. In the chapter 12, Bhakti Yoga, what Krishna is telling. Then Arjuna asks, Evam satata yuktaya bhaktastam paripasate aksharam avyaktam teshanke yoga vittama. He's asking, Avyakta, impersonal form or the personal form? This is Arjuna's question after universal form chapter. Then Krishna explains, Maya Vesya Mano Imam Nitya Yukta Upaste Sridhaya Prayopeta Te Me Yukta Mata. This is easiest, this is the topmost, this is the quickest. One who is meditating, one who is meditating in a personal form, attached to me, thinking of me, meditating on me, engaging in bhakti. He is the topmost. And then he tells about the impersonal form also. Klesho adhikataras tesham avyakta sakta chesam avyakta hi gatur dukkam devad viravapta. It is so difficult to perform this Ashtanga Yoga process. At last, they will come to me, but it will take many millions of lifetimes. Klesha, Adhikatara. Klesha itself is a great difficulty, and Adhikatara means many, many difficulties. And the examples we know. Viswamitra, Sobramuni, how many sages, how many of them? So much tapasya they did many years, but as soon as there is agitation, finished. All their tapasya is done. Sobramuni just saw fish in the water, he was meditating underneath because he offended Garuda. Then because of that offense, then he got a fruitive mentality in his mind. He saw two fishes engaged in procreation. Finished. Came out and married 50 daughters of Mandada. And after 50 years, after marrying, producing children, then he realized, oh, what have we done? So that will be the result of the regular ordinary Ashtanga Yoga process. But on the path of bhakti, then it becomes much more easier, especially for Kali Yuga. It's especially Kali Yuga, it's more difficult because mind is always agitated. Mind is so because each yoga has a certain characteristics. Kali Yuga especially, we can't think straight. Mind doesn't give support. Intelligence doesn't give support. We are first of all we can't live long. All these things are the defects of Kali Yuga. So that's it. It's even third. Kalau Tate Hari Kirtana, that is the chanting, because he can't even engage in properly service, he can't even do other things properly. That's the hearing and chanting. These two are the most important, significant. Kalau Tate Hari Kirtana. You chant the holy names of the Lord, which is very easy. You can chant in the bathroom, you can sleep and chant. You can chant at any time, any place, no restrictions. Only you can do on Tulsi beads. You can do on your fingers, on your tongue, you can chant any place, anywhere, no restriction. Whatever you may be impure, whatever the state of consciousness is, doesn't matter. So that is easier. That is the Yuga Dharma anyway. When it is Yuga Dharma for this age, then that's what we have to follow. Anything else anybody does, it won't work. It won't work, because that is what, when the definition is given, this is dharma. Like if somebody comes to US and wants to drive like India, it will work? No. You will be captured, you will be given a ticket, license will be taken away, all these things natural, because that is the dharma in this country. So when the Yuga Dharma has been given for this age, this is what you have to do, that's what you have to follow. Any other things, it will work, but it will take lifetimes to perfect. It is so difficult. So we have to take what Krishna says, what God says, that's what we have to take in Bhagavad Gita. Don't go by somebody else's words. Is
No,
that clear?
Prabhuji, another question that come to my mind many times, like when I was little, I
Mm-hmm.
remember I didn't start schooling yet. Even that time, that this question used to come to my mind, and then I got busy with the schooling and all that. You know how the life is, and
Yeah.
now the same question is again banging into my brain, like what is this thing, this word? जैसे बोलते हैं ना हिंदी में, do you
Yeah.
understand Hindi?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like अरे कहाँ फंस गए आके ना, what is ये क्या है, like something weird that like that. But then when my schooling started and I started doing homework and I got busy, and now in this like how we get busy, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Exams and all that. Now I'm again, like I feel like my mind is becoming like when I was little, and again think अरे कहाँ फंस गए, like you say attachment and like not attached to, like I feel like, so this is not the attachment, right? If
Yeah. So
like if I'm feeling
what?
that way.
Yeah. What we have to do is we have to balance. Once we know, we should not give a way to mind, our intentions. We have to balance our activities. We don't need to give up our family duties, whatever we have to way to maintain ourselves, our family. At the same time, we have to give sufficient time for purifying the soul. That means we have to, these layers of external body, the subtle body, these two layers are there. To clear that, we have to need a lot of purification, which means a lot of process of bhakti we have to perform. That means we have to give allocate certain time. Okay, half an hour a day, 1 hour a day. Okay, maybe weekdays, maybe only half an hour. Weekend I can spend maybe 2 hours. So that has to be consistently done, and adjust everything else accordingly. Don't try to adjust everything else and Krishna is in the back burner. Then what you'll get in the back also, in the result also, Krishna will also look at everything in the back burner. You ask 100 things, everything will go into back burner, because that's what he. To the degree of your surrender, to with what consciousness you are approaching, to that consciousness only you will get reaction. Krishna is a 4.11 verse. Krishna is telling. So that's it. If your surrender is Krishna is on back burner, I don't want. I want first these things, material thing. I want this. I want that. I want that. When I really need, that's when I will come to you. So then Krishna, okay, all right, I will wait until that time. So that's what. But one who is serious, one who understands, then he will also do it. Like we all devotee, we do job. We all take care of family. We all have houses and cars and everything. You can't get away from it in the modern day civilization. Obviously, we are not the perfect. We are not in the brahmacharis or vanaprastha renounced. No, we have a lot of responsibilities. We don't renounce any of this, but we make sure that priority is being given to process of bhakti. At least, depending on different people, you adjust. You slowly adjust. Krishna will adjust everything. If Krishna becomes your priority, you're desiring, you are praying, Krishna will adjust everything. Your job, everything, Krishna will adjust. But it takes time. You have to be patient. You have to tolerate. You have to be patient. Then, because many lifetimes you have done, suddenly you cannot adjust because you have made your decisions. Did we ask Krishna first do before you do act? No. Then how can he is going to adjust everything all of a sudden? He cannot adjust. So you have to give time. Now you have to act. Okay, before I do something, first you have to ask Krishna, what should I do? Is this right? Then he will give inclination either directly in our heart, or he will it will come through all different devotees, through lectures or different discussions. It will come. What is the right thing to do? What is not right thing to do? So it's more of a putting Krishna in the first place in the priority in our life. Then Krishna will guide, adjust everything. Then we'll make better decisions in our life. So everything will be very crystal clear. More you focused on this in this way, everything will become clear. No getting into any other things.
No, the only question now I'm stuck with in my mind is why we got separated from the Lord. And if we had some desires or we did something wrong that we do not remember, and somehow we got separated from the Lord, why Lord didn't stop us from getting separated from Lord Himself? If I see Krishna, I want to ask, even if it is.
Don't even go there. That's it. Philosophically, it's going to take many days and months and years of explanation. That cannot. So let's understand that when you have a serious disease, when you go to doctor, you just follow the prescription. So the
Yeah.
individuality is there. We are tatastha. The jiva, the living entity is tatastha. That means you can choose to go towards God or away from God. That individuality is there. That's why there are two different living entities are there. Nitya Siddha, eternally liberate. They never at any point in their lifetimes become conditioned at any point. That category will never change. The second category we fall in, which is Nitya Baddha, eternally conditioned. That means it's so long we don't even know when that has happened. But Jiva, either way, in these both cases, we are marginal potency. We are called marginal means we're in between. The God is left side, right side is material energy. You can choose to enjoy, be with material energy, enjoy separately from the Lord, or be go to the left to God, enjoy with Him. Resources, everything will be there, but with Him, He is in the center and you enjoy. So that is the left side is the your choice. Krishna is telling throughout Arjuna at the end of the 18th chapter, what did Krishna said? Because he is Tatastha. He didn't force. Oh, you have to fight. You have to tell what I said. No. Rather, he told Karishye Vachan. No, he said Nastam. Arjuna said rather, you do now. Yatechis Tathakuru. Now you do whatever you decide. You do it. I am not going to tell you whether you have to fight or renounce. It is up to you. God cannot force you. Then that because it is love, out of love. Father, just like we tell the children, if you study this, you working anyway, you need money. You do electrical or you do mechanical or you do IT. Electrical, mechanical, however you work, you can only get this much. If you do IT, you work only little, but you get this much. You make the choice. You could be, I don't like it. I mean, ultimate point, you want money, yes or no? Then you make a right decision. We can tell, but it's up to the kid. He can decide what he wants. So that's why we don't force. We can only suggest. It's better if you do this. But still, kids want to do something else. Then what can you do? As father, mother, you can't do anything. Let them go and do whatever. Then when they realize, then many of the kids change in second year, third year, after bachelor's also, then they change to different people in the master. So sometimes even after finishing, then they come to the job of IT. They are not IT, but they come to IT. They realize at the end, but it's too late. If they would have listened to the parents, then they would have come to the right. But most of the time, it is like that. Same example. God is telling already been indicating through Shastra, through Sadhu, through the friends, through different avenues. Is telling repeatedly. Is telling Baba, this is not the right path. First jayegi, first jayegi, first jayegi. फिर से again and again going into the same. Janma mrityu jara vayade dukkha doshanga repeatedly. So that now we have to make conscious choice now. Now don't go back. Then when it happened, why it happened? No. First fix the problem right now. The disease. We have to fix the disease. That means we have to take the prescription, which is chanting and medicine. Only I take Krishna Prasad. So this is the diet and prescription. Oh, no. Can I eat rice? Can I eat roti? Can I eat paneer? No. What doctor is doing, only use that. Don't tell me that ask other 100 things. No. What is doctor is doing exactly? If you follow, then you will cure it. If you have 100 things, then you want to do 100 things, then doctor cannot help because if you follow the prescription exactly, then you will cure the disease very quickly. So that is the problem. As devotees also, we have 100 things. God is telling, Guru is telling these things you should do, but no, I want these other things also. Then it's fine. That's why free will is there. So it takes time to how much we can follow and what we want to follow. Guru's Krishna's instruction, or you want to follow our individual agendas. Then accordingly the reciprocation of the Lord is there. Accordingly the energy is there, strength is there, intelligence is there, advancement is there. So that's what we have to make conscious choice now. So whatever we wish to do. Already late,
Mm.
8:48. Is that clear?
Oh,
Uh,
yes, thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji,
Yes.
Anuradha Mataji has a question, I think. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dharma Pranam. I was listening when you said that one can achieve the perfection when you do bhakti, but that's a stage which is very high stage when someone can get perfection and but what if like somebody like for example we have a lot of like agitations comes in when we hear someone saying something wrong about Lord, for example, or condemn devotees, or maybe someone who doesn't understand, for example, in the gathering when someone say something like make fun.
Yeah.
So how as a devotee when they are not in that level or something, when how what should act? uh,
Yeah. So for all these things, the association is the key. So association means you associate from those who are advanced, those who are not agitated, those who are learned in their actions. They are showing by their actions how they behave, how they conduct themselves. When there is a difficulty, when there is a problem, when they are with so many people, how they behave. So they are with those we have to associate because then we have to observe. By that, because we are in touch with fire, then we become also fire. More we are in that association, more we do the service, more we follow under the guidance, then gradually, however, in ignorant or passion, agitation, everything will be fixed. It's just a matter of time. It's much more quicker way. But if we don't take much association, we are on our own. So many things we might be doing. We are in very very less association. Then it becomes difficult because mind and intelligence has to be, and the body, physical body has to be absorbed in that particular association of hearing, particular association of service. So that's why some of these yatras also helps because sometimes we need that loving relationships together doing things, So these things will help so that mind to get immediately get connected, gets revamped. It gets to the next level of consciousness. Then it doesn't agitate us anymore. So a lot of those um, connections we have to make it happen. So that's why it requires a lot of association is the key. Mm. Association is the key.
okay, Prabhu, thank you. Dandavat Pranam.
No. Any others? Let's see who else. Jayanti Mataji, go ahead. Jayanti Mataji. Yes.
Prabhuji, sorry, I'm taking one quick question, Prabhuji.
Yes.
The thing is, I used to be involved very much before, little
Mm.
bit now. Of late, sometimes you are kids are away from home, so you are more feeling lonely, depressed. Thinking about them only. It's a lot of mental worries. So even to pray, to take the effort and go and sit is also is very hard.
Yes.
So in that case, how do you control? I keep telling to myself, detachment. We have to practice, practice, practice. It's not easy, and even to go and sit and pray, that is a big effort. It's a very big effort even to go and do. So just you're by yourself. In that case, how do you overcome this? But chanting helps me
Yeah.
to keep my mind away. I just keep on chanting, just killing the time. In
Yeah.
other words, that's how I feel it as I'm feeling killing the time.
Yeah.
So that I'm not able to get back into that routine. uh,
It's the
so
same.
how do
Understood.
we
Yeah. Understood.
pass the time?
It is again to the association only. Just like in general, first you have to share with somebody to relieve of your already anxiety is there. Those you should share with someone else, especially those who are confidential. And because when you are feeling even depressed or whatever the case, you don't need to do anything. You just join the Zoom call. These days, everything is on Zoom. So then you keep hearing. Then naturally, mind will, after end of the class, most of the times, mind is back to normal state. It is not agitated. Then you can chant or you can hear or you can do something, or whatever duties you have, you can do it, but much more actively, much more engagingly. Otherwise, it is difficult. It's not easy because more you are aged, more it will, because if you have taken the practice a little bit later, while when we are little bit older, it takes more longer time because we are not, his body is not uh, allowing us to do much faster pace. It takes time. So that's why we have to be patient. Hospital association is the key. You talk to them in person, you call them whenever you have a problem, and you join the classes in the association. If you are, especially if you are not able to physically go to temple or physically in association anywhere, so that will help to bring it back to the normal consciousness. In general, when you have a problem, obviously you share with your friends, with your family, with your relatives. You share with someone. Then that will, like a mother and father generally ask, "Hey, what happened today in school?" So then she will be coming and crying, and, "Oh, this happened. This person did this. That person did it." So the child has to share. Then you will be relieved. Whatever anxiety, whatever things happened, then once you share, then much more is at ease. Then father, mother says something, then how you can get out of it or how you can fix it, what is better way to interact. Then if they follow, then it's much better. So that's why it requires that association, confidentially sharing and discussing. So mind will be much more nurturing is very important. Nurturing of the soul, nurturing and the mind and intelligence automatically will be subside because then the nurturing of the soul, which is superior platform than the mind and intelligence, societal body. So that is what is required. So that's what Krishna is telling Arjuna also. Don't be agitated. Be in that association of sadhu sangha sato vrate, snigdha sato vrate. Especially with those who are advanced, those who are uh, advanced, you associate with them, then you'll be able to do it.
Detachment is very hard to practice, Prabhuji. That's what I'm saying.
Detachment, you don't need to worry so much. That's what I said. These things cannot artificially try. You cannot try. It's not going to work. In bhakti process, we don't try anything. Try to be detached. Try to give up. Try to no. More it's a positive way. More you engage in chanting, more you engage in hearing, more you are in the association. Forget about whether you are how much you are advancing, how much you are detached. Those things it will come. It will come at its pace. You just need the connection, positive connection with the process of bhakti in reading, in hearing, in chanting, all these things. Then naturally these qualities will come. Internal return. Krishna himself is in Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prajavajita Janayati Asu Vairagyam. Both the knowledge, transcendental knowledge you'll gain, detachment will automatically will happen. You don't need to externally try. You don't need to externally try. And so you can see our lives. Beginning of Krishna consciousness, we haven't taken Krishna consciousness at that time. What we are attached to so many things. Now, after taking even 6 months, a year, few months, something or the other, we are naturally given up. No one forced. Even somebody has told us that is not good, but we ourselves will give up because process worked. So more you continue, then naturally you will give up by willingly. You're not, why I have to give up this. No, you will not have even a question. Naturally you will give up. That's what bhakti will do. Naturally you will come to that higher and higher status. So that's what we have to follow. It just needs a lot of patience. That's all.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, we'll stop here. Let's go back to our day-to-day duties. 8:56 already, very late. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna Gandhara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktan ki jai.